He already had his deals when he got here.
What are you smiling for, cuz? Say something.
What's up, y'all? Have we heard of a comedian that came to LA and in his first year in LA, he had his own sitcom on network television and had his own movie called Soul Plane that he was leading? No, we've never heard of that before that person or since that person. What do you think a plant is?
My thing is, Gil, is that, look, you come to my platform, you talk. I'm not trying to, I'm not trying to be I had no idea where Katt was gonna go. I didn't ask the man where he was from, how old he was, how many brothers and sisters he had. I didn't ask him anything. He just says, this is what's on my mind. Yeah.
Behind my back, I'm nothing. But in my face, no.
Talk a lot of shit in a safe place. I know cause he can't look me out of eye when he in my face.
Welcome to the Dark Times channel. Before I go ahead and get started, make sure you guys go and hit that like button for me. And if you're not new to the channel and you enjoy the content so far on this channel, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me as well. And so let's go ahead and get into it. As everybody knows already, Katt Williams has probably dropped one of the most legendary and iconic truth-telling interviews of all time.
Are you not afraid about being blackballed again?
These people are not powerful. Satan can't create anything. You know what the #1 job of somebody that sold their soul in Hollywood is?
What?
Is to act like it didn't happen.
And so Katt Williams went all the way in on this interview. I think Shannon Sharpe, like everybody else, was in awe about everything that was coming out of Katt Williams' mouth, that he forgot that this was going to be for everybody to see. But it was an interview that Shannon Sharpe knew he had to put out. But at the same time, it was an interview that he knew he shouldn't put out.
I sure hope I have Club Shay Shay after this air.
It's gonna be in a dimension it's never been.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
The greatest thing floating in 2024. Mark the words. No way. In a whole different realm of business. Oprah coming next.
One of the things that people don't understand about comedians is comedians are probably some of the most intelligent people amongst us. And I'm not talking about every comedian. I'm talking about some of the greats. If you think about your Chappelles, if you think about your Richard Pryors, you think about your Katt Williams, you think about your George Carlins, we're talking about deep thinking individuals that think on a different level, a higher level than most people. They see the world a little bit differently. And so when they see the world for what it is, they can't help but to laugh at it, if that makes sense to y'all. And usually, 9 times out of 10, that's why a lot of comedians suffer from alcohol and drug dependency, because they can see the world for what it is. And so Katt Williams is one of those ones, as most of us already knew. And like I said, he didn't hold anything back. Everybody was getting it, whether they wanted to or not. But one of the comedians that responded to Katt Williams, somebody that I'm not too familiar with, is comedian Gary Owens.
But Katt Williams went on Shannon Sharpe's podcast, Club Shay Shay, and nobody was safe, brother. Nobody.
I can't say that I heard a Gary Owens stand up all the way through, but I'm familiar with him. I know who he is. I've seen some of his work, but like I said, I'm not too familiar with him. But I want to chime in real quick on something that he said. Something that he said to back up pretty much everything that Katt Williams was talking about in this interview.
I got to unpack this podcast because Katt made a comment where he said, why you think Gary Owen, who's a white guy, has been doing stand-up for 25 years, hasn't crossed over? And when he said it, I was like, wait a minute, was that a good thing or bad thing? And I literally had to go to Twitter and start asking people, was I catching strays or what was that? And they was like, no, they were saying you haven't sold your soul. That's why you haven't crossed over. You've been consistently you, and that's why you haven't, quote unquote, crossed over. So I was like, oh, okay, that made sense. Now, I'm not gonna get into it, but I've been, I was in an awkward situation one time where I can't say for 100% this person was trying to make me do something, casting couch type deal, but it felt like it. And I was like, is this that point where I've always heard, would you suck a dick for $1 million? And I was thinking to myself, and I was in this office in this room going, well, this is the I'm about to answer this question. And the answer was no, I wouldn't. So now I listen, I can't say for 100% that's where it was going, but it felt like it. It felt like it. You got to be in the room to feel it. And I was like, oh, this dude is really coming on to me. Like, this is happening in real life. And the dude did it, and he'll always remain nameless. I think he was feeling me out. Like, is this dude? And this was years ago. I was young in the game, but I was just like, wait a minute, is this happening right now? I was like, oh my God. And then I was like, I made sure I made it very clear I like women. I'm not going that route. Blah, blah, blah. So I'm not gonna get into it, but I was wondering. I was like, ooh, is this happening?
And so comedian Gary Owens was being a little bit coy with us. I think he knows exactly what time it was. Otherwise, he wouldn't have brought it up. He knew what was going down in that room, but he didn't partake. Like a lot of people do. But there's always that one. But as the old saying goes, what you won't do, somebody else will. I would probably say at least half the individuals that are put in that situation probably say no. But nobody knows their names. Nobody knows who they are. But then on the other hand, you have a lot of individuals that will say yes and do whatever's on the menu. But I'm going to go ahead and play another clip of Gary Owens in this same podcast. And he brings up another opportunity in which he turned down.
So I think Katt was saying I haven't sold my soul, and that's why I haven't crossed over. I've had TV deals in the past. I walked away from a pilot at Fox because I agreed to do this show with Fox. I met with all these showrunners who were writers, and I picked these two guys, and everything about this pilot was racial. Because I remember I was reading the script, and at one point somebody said, I just got done having sex with my wife, and in the show it'd be like me and her in the bedroom, and then we cut away and we come back and I'm in the bathroom mirror standing there, so you're implying that we just slept together. And then I look back at her and I was like, yeah, once you go white, you know it's right, or something like that. It was like this goofy rhyme, and I go, my wife would stab me if I said something like that. I was like, what? So anyways, I walked away from this Fox deal, and even the powers that be at Fox at the time was like, Gary, just no, say yes to this. We'll get to the pilot, and then you'll have more say on what you can and cannot say. And I said, I can't do that. I was like, if I agree to this, I was like, and this is before cancel culture was around. I said I'd be canceled. I was like, don't cancel me. And it ain't gonna be the writer's fault, ain't gonna be the director's fault. It's gonna be me. The lead of this show is all falling on me. So anything like that's said racially like that, that's gonna be like, I don't know, like goofy. I'm not gonna say the other word, but goofyish. I'm just like.
And so shout out to Gary Owens.
I don't want to do that.
Because there's a lot of comedians in his position. Black wife, black kids, or none. Biracial kids, whatever you want to call it. They wouldn't have turned that down. Racial jokes and all. They would have took that opportunity and ran with it. So shout out to Gary Owens. Big shout out to him. And I believe him 100%. Because the timeline in which he's talking about, I'd have to say it was probably somewhere between 2010 and 2016. Somewhere in that timeline in which I believe they approached him with that show. Because that was right around the time where they really started pushing interracial couples, and mainly a black woman with a white man. Almost every show, every commercial, every movie, the dynamic is a white man with a black woman whenever there's an interracial couple. And you can take that for what it is. I've already spoken before on this platform on that particular subject. If you want to find those videos, I'm going to go ahead and put that in a link below. And I would say Gary Owens is probably the only white comedian that can actually pull that show idea off. Because I really can't think of another white comedian that can pull that show idea off and not have it be corny. And so by him turning it down when he did, that was huge. I'm sure they had huge plans for him. They probably would have had Tyra Banks playing his wife or somebody like that. But of course they did wind up getting their show. Back in 2018, CBS came out with Bob Hart's Ibisola.
What's trash, did our son say? Jungle Beach. Again, trash talk. call me a jungle bitch and see how fast I throw a chair at you. Okay. You teach your son to speak with respect towards my son, who is a straight-A student, and there'll be no more fighting.
That's not good enough. Her kid should be suspended.
One of these two boys is going to be a doctor, and I give you a clue. It is not your carving.
Why have you come here today?
To marry the beautiful Abishola.
Hey.
As a sign of respect to her family, we prostrate at your feet.
That is my boy.
I see what they did. They got a Nigerian immigrant to play the female character in this show. And because there's not too many American Nigerian shows, there's your audience. There's a heavy Nigerian population in the United States, and not just Nigerian, African population at that. And so that's your base audience right there. And then of course, you're always gonna get your other viewers as well. Sometimes people just have the TV on just to have the TV on. But as long as you can have a core base audience, that's all they needed. And so I see what they did by getting a Nigerian actress to play the love interest in this show. Because I can't see too many Black Americans here in the United States tuning in to watch this show. And like I said, the only way that we probably would have tuned in to watch this show, at least some of us, is if Gary Owens would have did it. Gary Owens is somebody that's well respected, has a long track record of doing stand-up comedian within the Black community. And if he would have done it, that show would have been 10 times bigger than the show they got on right now on CBS. And so Gary Owens pretty much backed up a lot of what Katt Williams had to say in this interview. And Katt Williams told no lies. No lies detected. And he pretty much gave us a 2-hour or a 2.5-hour Netflix special. If you think about it, the last time I checked, the original video was at 9.7 million views. How many people are tuning in to watch the new Dave Chappelle special? I guarantee you it's not no 9.7 million within the first 24 hours. And so like I said, I don't think we're gonna get another interview quite like this for quite some time. This is one of a kind. But go ahead and drop a comment in the comment section and let me know how y'all feel about this one. And as usual, peace and chaos.